How many of us have what it takes to become Warmaster? Most likely, none. The Imperium of Man consists of thousands of worlds. You are just one person on one of those worlds. Warmaster is one of the highest titles achievable. It is not a constant title, meaning they are only created when there is need of one, and they are expunged once the threat is dealt with. It requires certain circumstances to bring one into existence. A large enough military force needs to amass in one place with a common goal. A crusade against whatever threat humanity faces. A Warmaster is chosen in order to maintain rigid control over every element of the crusade. One person that everyone answers to. The most obvious person, the one we were all thinking of, is most likely Horus Lupercal, or perhaps more recently Abaddon the Despoiler, his son. Horus Lupercal was named Warmaster by the Emperor of Mankind when he still walked the battlefield at the end of the Great Crusade. Horus would fall to chaos and lead his traitorous brothers against the Emperor and the Loyalists in a bloody crusade. In his own words,
"Let the seas boil, let the stars fall."
After Horus was destroyed by the Emperor at the end of the Horus Heresy, the Chaos forces would be scattered. The largest chunk of Space Marines that still fought under one leader, however, was the Black Legion, led by Abaddon the Despoiler, the traitor Warmaster whom would be the bane of the Imperium for the next 10,000 years, fighting his Black Crusades to continue bleeding the Imperium dry. However, this video is more focused on Imperial Loyalist Warmasters, not Chaos, so let's focus our attention back on the Imperium. If you know the Imperium's lore in more depth, you may have heard of Macharius, the Lord Solar and Warmaster of the Macharian Crusade. He conquered over 1,000 worlds during early to middle M41, only turning back once he reached the edge of the galaxy. He was everything you need in a Warmaster, which shows in his record. No single Warmaster would ever recreate what he did until the Indomitus Crusade by Robute Guilliman, and no Warmaster had done it since the era of the Primarchs and the Great Crusade. The three Warmasters we just looked at became Warmaster because they were capable. They had a brilliant strategic mind and were simply the clear best choice. There are, however, other more unusual ways you can become Warmaster. Let us take a look at the rather short tale and life of Warmaster Nathian. When exactly he lived his life is lost to the depths of the paperwork cathedrals of the Administratum. But what we do know is that Nathian was a lieutenant from the Cadian 86th. Lieutenant is the lowest rank of officer on the battlefield, seen as nothing more than platoon leaders, and he was about to be executed by his commissar for some wrongdoing he had committed, when suddenly a handful of custodians appeared out of nowhere. They executed the commissar on the spot, and from then on started wordlessly protecting Nathian. Nathian then went on to make a name for himself for his unconventional tactics, and started making his way up the ranks until he found himself in the position of Imperial Warmaster of an entire crusade. This crusade was destined to stop many orc warbands, with its main achievement being the destruction of Wa Daxkrag, before it could reach the Sol system. After this feat was accomplished, the custodians left, as suddenly as they came, and with Nathian still waving goodbye at their departing ship, he was promptly shot through the back of the head by the commissariat, who apparently do hold grudges. Let's look at another example, the inspiring story of Warmaster Inus, whose story is somehow even shorter than that of Nathian. In late M41 he was overseeing the progress of his crusade when some Drukhari pirates showed up and kidnapped him, right from underneath the nose of his entire crusade. After this incident it was deemed that all future Warmasters would be provided with personal bodyguards. How the Imperium made it 10,000 years without having bodyguards for many of the most important guardsmen of their time, we'll never know. Inus was never seen again. It is unknown what exactly happened to him, though I think we can guess. What we can gather from these tales is that the best way to become Warmaster is to be highly capable and trained during an assault by some Xeno or heretic force, or to be incredibly lucky, although more than likely you'd need to be both. A lucky genius. Although being the son or daughter to a high-standing official in the Imperial Guard would help somewhat with climbing the ladder. It would grant you privileges like lessons in strategy and tactics, one-on-one combat, and leadership. Now, seeing how so many variables are involved, we can assume that many talented guardsmen and potential Warmasters were blown to pieces by an unfortunate grenade or shot too early by a commissar. And even if you reach the status of Imperial Warmaster, you still need to watch your own back. Constantly. For you never know what creatures are lurking in your shadow. Let me know if you want to hear more stories about the Imperium and the Imperial Guard.